All right, we're rolling. All right, and come out. Three, two.
Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Bob Gums bringing you the Concerned Forum, and I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. Um, just a quick look at the weather. It's a very cold, very dreary. Well, let me back off a bit on the cold, but it is very dreary and with a very misty kind of rain here in Harlem today. But hopefully, it will brighten up by the end of this week. My first question, as we jump right into it, I hope you folks out there like this. My U.S. Navy T-shirt, excuse me, sweatshirt. I felt I should wear it today because, unlike the Republican goofballs who are constantly running around with their flag pin, this is how I show my patriotism. I served, unlike our former president. But that's another story. But I guess I should start off today by throwing out this question. What the hell is wrong with us? I mean, really, as a country. And I'm going beyond the whole racial thing, because God knows uh, that's a big enough problem. But we really need to sit down and ask ourselves, yo, what is wrong with us, man? What the hell has happened to our critical thinking skills? I understand with all the bullshit that has been going down for the past 6 years that a lot of people are just fed up with politics. Well, I'm going to tell you something. There is a segment in this country that, we'll put it this way, that's exactly how they want you to feel. Because you start dumping buckets of bullshit on people that they kind of freak out to a point, and they say, well, the hell with it. Nothing is real. All these guys are full, pardon my French, all these guys are full of shit. And that's not true. And we should never allow ourselves to feel that way. And we should stand up and fight against those who try to make us feel that way. If you listen to these Republicans now, you got Trump, Trump, you got what's her name, Nikki, was it Nikki Haley from South Carolina, um, the Confederate state. Nobody's told them that the war is over, the Civil War. And was it Pompeo, who I feel, as a former military officer, I feel that he betrayed his country uh, by supporting a guy like Donald Trump. And then, of course, you got Trump himself, right? And that one and only, what did Trump call him? A meatball, DeSantis out of Florida, right? Uh, Florida is a prime example, in my opinion. It's a prime example of what happens in our two-party system, where one party basically drops the ball. And that's what happened with the Democratic Party in Florida. And these people, these DeSantis people, these Trump people, see, that's what they do. They look for an opening, any opening. They're like a venereal disease. They see an opening and they'll try to charge right through that opening to infect. And that's what's happened. You know, you got Democrats going back and forth, and this is what one of the things that bothers me about our side, because I'm a registered Democrat, proud of it. But we make mistakes on the Democratic side of the House, and you got a situation where some Dems say, "Oh, well, gee, I hope that we run against Trump," and then you got other Dems that say, I want to run against DeSantis, right? And see, you got still others that want to run against Nikki Haley and Pompeo. And see, I don't want to see our side miss the point. The point is that we are not running against a single individual. It's not about running against Trump. It's not about running against DeSantis. It's not about running against Nikki Haley or Pompeo. We are running against this new fascist Republican Party. And this is what we have to make clear to the nation, to the world for that matter, right? And I know it's hard for some people because we're so used to this whole, well, you know, Republicans versus Democrats. I know there are parts of the media, some folks in the media, that's how they want to insist upon seeing it like that. But that's not the case, right? Like they found out in Italy with Mussolini, like they found out in Germany with Hitler, okay? These people, they became the symbol. They became the whole reason for being. So it wasn't about, you know, Christian socialist or labor or what have you. The man became, or the person became the party, and the party became the person. See, it doesn't make any difference if you're running against DeSantis, or if you're, just for an example, if you're running against DeSantis or if you are running against Trump. Doesn't make a difference because they're both one and the same. Now you can say, which is true, DeSantis is just a mini-me of Trump. As a matter of fact, it would be cool, you know. Somebody makes these little doll, Cupid doll figures, right? And you got a little Cupid doll figure of DeSantis, right? Basically, here's a better one, like a ventriloquist dummy, all right? Somebody comes out with a ventriloquist dummy in the form of DeSantis. And then you got somebody dressed up to look like Trump, and they could go on stage together, and he could put the DeSantis dummy on his leg, right? And, just, do a ventriloquist act, right? Hell, you might as well, because nothing that DeSantis is saying is original. Look, the whole deal is about hate, right? It's about hate, and it's about getting people. I mean, Trump says this stuff out of his own mouth. Vote for me, and we'll get these guys. What happened to America's bright future? That America, I'm going to put America on the correct direction, and we'll make it morning in America again. What happened to that kind of talk, right? What happened to the idea that as a nation, we are always moving forward? You don't hear that. out of any of your Republicans running now. I mean, these guys and gals, they are too depressing to run a funeral home, quite frankly, because that's what they are. And they're doom and gloom about stuff that doesn't exist. The replacement theory. Nobody's trying to replace anybody. What was it? Over 12 million people short for employment in this country. We are down by over 12 million people working. And on the to the contrary, under Joe Biden, we are damn close to full employment. And I'm trying to figure out when in American politics is it possible to attack the person under whom employment has gone up, not down. And see, this is, to show you what happens, how twisted things have been allowed to get. See? Why, people need to be out on the street cheering for Joe Biden, quite frankly. I mean, to hell with the age thing. I'm not talking about that, right? Because you got a lot of stupid, middle-aged, a lot of stupid people in their 40s and early 50s, okay, who are dumb. What's his name? Josh Hawley out in Missouri. That's a prime example. And not only is he dumb, but he's also a coward. And no, don't wave your damn, what is it, Yale, Harvard, Ivy League credentials in my face. Because all that paper that you got that basically says you are a smart, intelligent person, capable of critical thinking, it doesn't mean jack if you are going to go out there and basically, I've known drunken dock workers that have more of a grasp on reality than Josh Hawley. So, and I hate to say this because I love reading, I love the whole concept of education. But these Republicans over the last few years, they have really done a disservice to higher education. And maybe I should say they have really done a disservice to education, period. Because, as I said, you have people in Congress that have superlative education. And, look at the things that they come up with. Whatever happened to the values, the ideas, the ideologies that we used to value in this country? And people knew that even if they weren't capable themselves of living these values, they didn't try to act like these values didn't exist. Every American citizen has the right to legally vote. When in the hell was that ever in dispute? Now, of course, we know all about slavery, Jim Crow, right? All that good stuff. We know that there was not a fair a fair election in this country until what, 65, 66? Oh, yeah, you didn't know about that, huh? Or you never thought about that. But really, we haven't had a fair election. We didn't have a fair election in this country until that between 65 and 67, that time frame. Because before that, you had certain northern and western states where you were not hampered from voting because of your racial or ethnic background. But by and large, we have had unfair elections up until what did I say, 66, 67. I'm sorry, folks, but you can't tell me that when you have a whole section of the country where people of color were not able to vote, so you're talking about quite a few millions of people that weren't able to vote. And this was done in accordance to the laws of those given states at that time. See, that's why the argument about states' rights never impressed me. See, because unfortunately, states' rights, one of the things that it did, it existed to oppress me and people that look like me. This is what I mean when I say that, just because you got an Ivy League or a couple of Ivy League degrees, no, it doesn't impress me. What you do with those degrees, that's what counts. See, and another thing, will somebody kindly take a note to the Republicans, or put it this way, take a note to those people who are still genuine Republicans. Because as I said in the beginning of this conversation, what passes now for the Republican Party is actually, it's a hoax, okay? I know Republican. I know what it means to be a Republican in the Republican Party. I grew up, and I'm very fond of saying this, I grew up in a Republican family. My mom and dad were avid Republicans. My old man ran for the assembly here in New York as a Republican. He was the district leader for the Republicans in our part of Harlem. And I want to tell you something else. In case you never heard me say this before, at that time, me saying that my dad was an active, involved member of the Republican Party here in Harlem, it was not a big deal. And somebody ran up and said, "Hey, your old man's a Republican." Half the block would turn around and say, "Yeah, and?" It wasn't a big deal. Unfortunately, with the Republicans, starting from the mid-60s onwards, month by month, year by year, they sold their souls to primarily white males who had been Democrats and who were angered at the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party, coming from the time of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, more and more began to take the side of the pro-civil rights folks. The last great thing that they did, and I have to say this to my progressive partners, to my African American partners, to white progressives, to everyone. We are able to enjoy voting rights, or excuse me, we're supposed to be able to enjoy voting rights in this country because of the Republican Party. Okay, and there can be no argument on that score, right? It was the Republican Party that basically carried the ball, fighting, I believe it was civil rights, public accommodations, and one or two other things. But it was the Republican Party that did that. Voting rights being the main thing. Remember that, the walk where the late congressman from Maryland almost died on that bridge because he was with the folks, it was the Edmund Pettus Bridge, right? And you see the pictures. Not only can we see them looking at the old video, newsreel, whatever you want to call it, not only can we see it, it was seen around the world. The massacre at Edmund Pettus Bridge, on Edmund Pettus Bridge, right? And it was the Republicans that basically said, people look at America, the world looks at America, and this is what they see. And we have to be better than this. It was Republicans that were really doing the major, how should I say, hell raising behind this voting rights thing. Now, the irony is that it's the Republicans who are basically trying to stop people from being able to vote. And that is one of American history's great ironies, right? The folks that fought for us to be able to vote, nowadays, these are the people who are fighting to stop us from being able to vote. You know, it's funny when you look at American history. If you're living in a state where you're able to look at American history. Because now, this guy that's from Florida, DeSantis, right? One of the main things that he is known for is for telling parents that they have the right, or that they should have the right, to stop their kids from learning anything about American history, especially that history that deals with the relationship of America in regards to its non-white citizens. So I guess that means kids in school should not be taught about the Chinese Exclusion Act. Oh, and by the way, as I just thought about it, let's not get into this crap about, oh, well, I don't want my second grade kid coming home asking me, are we racist? Oh, you don't? So in other words, you don't want your second grader to be able to develop critical thinking skills. I mean, that's what it means. Because anything that a second grade kid's going to pick up in class, he's going to come home, he's going to ask his folks about it. So this whole thing about, oh, well, I don't want my first or second grader to, know or learn about such and such, right? Well, we know that's a lie. That's a sham. Because then you turn right around and here goes DeSantis now messing with the colleges. Now, you're talking about grown folks, right? You're talking about folks who are old enough to put on the uniform and fight, and hopefully not, but take a chance on dying in the Middle East somewhere. And you're saying that you don't want this person, this young man or this young woman who is fit enough to risk his life or risk her life for that flag, but you don't want them to learn about the things that happen underneath this flag. That's insanity, right? As a matter of fact, it's downright cowardly, because you're saying that our folks, our people in this country are so weak that they can't stand to know that, yeah, America, a lot of mistakes were made in this place called America. A lot of mistakes were made in this experiment called American democracy. But we are so weak-willed, we are such ninnies. Oh, well, no, 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 keep that away from them. We don't want them to know about this. You know, ever seen that movie Glory with Denzel? You know, you hear all the ladies out there, oh, Denzel. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. But he, you know, I mean, I got to give it to the brother, man. He's up there. He's one of the best. And I'll admit to something else too. Between Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, and oh, I could not think of that gentleman's name, but the guy that played the Colonel, who played Colonel Shaw in the movie. Those three guys, and you know the other folks that were there, and the reenactors, as well as the actors, they put together. I think that's about the only movie that literally, just about every time I have watched it, it brings tears to my eye. I'm not going to lie to you. The first time I saw that and I saw the end, I broke down. Okay? I broke down. I had to borrow a Kleenex from my lady because it moved me that much. And you know the thing about Glory, about that movie, is that I know that they always take something, right, and they're trying to make a movie based on a book, and you always, I don't know, some people would say you lose something, or they added on something. That wasn't the case with Glory. And as you see what those men had to fight through, you know, what they had to contend with, if you know the whole story, right? Because that's another thing. Making the movie, you know, you're dealing with time factors, you're dealing with expenses. You know, it's going to cost us more, for example, to go this way as opposed to maybe cutting a piece here and going around, you know, looking at it from another direction, okay? I understand making the movie, all those things have to be taken into consideration, right? But with Glory, I mean, like, for example, at the end, as they have succeeded in getting on top of the hill, okay, they got on top of the fortifications. And then the Rebs are getting ready to light off a cannon. And, you know, you would assume that they're going to be blasted into oblivion. It didn't exactly happen that way. What happened, Sergeant Carney, who I believe was the first black man to win the Medal of Honor, if I'm not mistaken. What happened, he was severely shot up. I can't remember if he lost his arm, his left arm, or if he was able to keep his left arm. But he was severely shot to hell, right? But somehow he managed to crawl back when they finally, because it just couldn't be done. And and he was so badly shot up that he had to crawl to get back. But you know, he clutched, you know, every regiment, they have their flags and the American flag. And he clutched that flag, the American flag, in his hand. This guy is shot to pieces, right? But he managed to get back, and he did survive. That would have been the guy whose role Morgan Freeman played, right? The sergeant major of the regiment. And what did Carney say? Sergeant Carney said, you know, we had gotten to the top. You know, what he basically said in so many words was, yeah, we got there. It was hell, but I got the, you know, I held on to our flag, and the old flag, she never touched the ground. And you think some damn fascist right-wing Republican is going to lecture this guy, this black man, whose ancestors fought in that Civil War? You think I'm going to let somebody like, what's his name, the baby chaser, what's his name, Gates or whatever, from Florida? You know, him, what's the other one from, the nutty woman from Colorado, Bobek, and was it MTG from Georgia? You think I'm going to sit by quietly and watch any of these clowns lecture my community about patriotism? Please. Not in this world. No, sir. And, you know, I want to see more Democrats take this attitude, quite frankly. Who the hell are you to lecture the black community about patriotism? That's like a Republican trying to lecture a black or Hispanic person about crime. We suffer the worst outrages from crime. We know why there's a criminal problem or a crime problem. We also know that that crime problem hits our communities the worst. So, you know, we need no lecture from the Republican Party about crime. We don't need to be lectured from a group of people who, when they felt that their election just didn't work out the way they had hoped, they felt they had the right to take it upon themselves to overthrow the government. Because, by the way, that's all January 6th was. It was an attempted overthrow of the United States government. So don't lecture me about crime. On January 6th, you killed police officers, right? You injured, what is it, about 140 or 150? Responsible also for the death of about what? I don't know, maybe 8, 12 people? Because you had people who died as a result of that insurrection attempt. These were your folks. Just like this snake in the grass, this coward, him and what's his name, Hawley from Missouri, they must belong to the same chicken club. Because I saw with my own 2 eyes, McCarthy on the phone with Trump. Yeah, these are your people. You need to stop this shit now. Yeah. You know, this same guy that I never see anything like it. This guy is risking the hell of his political career. He's also risking his freedom because those tapes and everything that he turns over to Tucker from Fox. Oh, God, he is dancing so close to the edge because some of that involves secret security business of the Congress. So someone has to ask, how is it that a man who told the President of the United States, hey, buddy, you have to stop this insurrection. It's yours, it's your people. It is not, what are they talking about? That anti-Nazi group. It is not, Antifa, anti-fascist group, right? And he tells them, you see, you're watching this in front of your own eyes. And he's telling Trump, Donald, this is not Antifa. These are your people. It is your people that have started this attack upon the Capitol. And what did Trump say? Oh, well, I guess they don't love you. I guess you don't love me as much as they do. Now, what the hell kind of response is that? I'm going to say something which will probably be the only time in life that you'll ever hear me say this. But on this thing and this thing alone, I had to agree with Murdoch. He said that Trump is touched in the head. I think that it plays a large part of it. This is what happens when you have super wealthy, ignorant people who have nothing else to do. And this is the type of stuff that they get into. Well, I'm old now and the hell with it. This is how I feel about shit and I'm just going to go for it. And that's exactly what's happened. And as far as McCarthy is concerned, I would say that he needs to be ashamed of himself, but to me, it seems like there is no such word in the Republican dictionary as shame. The word means nothing to them. So we need to give up hope that the Republican Party will develop some type of shame and say, hey, the hell with this. We need to sit down and chill out for a while. But how, chill out for what? Why do they, will it do any good for them to sit down and, take a time out for a couple of years and get themselves together? Well, you might do that. I would definitely do that after seeing everything that's gone down for these last 6 years. But you know and I know that's not Trump's way. So that's why I say there's absolutely, people do what they want to do. But the idea of voting Republican, I think you need to check something about you. Really needs to be, you really need to sit down and think about it. Hey, why am I doing this? Why am I supporting a party that says that we don't need the Constitution, that we got to tear it up? Okay, well, maybe you're not crazy, but it's telling me that you don't believe in the United States of America and what it's supposed to stand for. If that's the way you feel, that's fine. Hey, cool. But what the hell are you in politics for? See, that's another thing about these Republicans. The country is so terrible. Why are you running for public office? Why would you do that? You are running for public office with the sole intent and purpose to harm me, to hurt me. How do I know this? Well, you've been saying how terrible A, B, and C are. You said it. I didn't. You said it. So I'm asking the American people, why the hell are you going to vote for somebody? They don't believe in freedom and justice and equality for all of us. They don't believe in Social Security. They don't believe in some kind of social safety net. You hate the military because you're saying the military is too woke. Hey, by the way, I'm really asking, okay? I am truly asking, what the hell does woke mean? You constantly have, there is a black former Army officer. He runs a military academy somewhere down south. You know, they go in for that stuff down there, you know, military school. You know, 4-year-old, he crapped in his diaper. Send him to military school, you know. Which, looking at down south, I guess on their standards, I guess that's not the worst thing that they could do for a kid. But dig this, the guy, I think he's like a retired colonel, somewhere along there. Or it might be a retired general, I'm not quite sure. Former military officer, former Army officer, right? There are members of the board, I guess it's the board of trustees, in that military, for that military school. They're trying to get him out of that position because they're saying he is woke. You know, he wants that military school to embrace wokeness. I keep hearing this crap. What's his name? Chicken Josh. Remember Roots, the movie? And you had Chicken George? Well, now we have Chicken Josh. Chicken Josh of Missouri. Okay. Everything that comes out of his mouth. Yeah, you have these woke people. They have infected American industry. They have infected American business because they have embraced the theory of wokeness, right? They have taken over, or in the process of taking over corporate America with their woke philosophies. Damn it, all I'm saying, will you kindly tell us what the hell do you mean by wokeness? And I believe this is something that progressives, Democrats, independents, sane people, even sane Republicans, right? They need to get their heads together and get one prominent person, somebody that's, well known on the media, what have you, and just have that person confront Trump, or what's his name, Nikki Haley, or DeSantis, and just ask him, what the hell do you mean by woke? The Republicans, they have been good at this, right? Twisting the English language to suit themselves. Okay, fine. You want to take a word, you want to take a word, a harmless word, woke, and what is woke? Well, woke, as anyone with a little common sense knows, woke is just another way of saying awake. I think the last show that we did, I was talking about, I was thinking about my mom, God rest her soul, and some of the crazy things she used to say, right? Oh, excuse me. A little bit of dust. But woke. I can remember when I was in like the 5th grade, right? And I'm in bed early in the morning. I'm being lazy, as young boys in the 5th and 6th grade have a tendency to do, trying to get those few extra minutes of sleep, right? And here comes my mom yelling, Bobby, you better get your butt out of bed, get woke, get washed up, get your clothes on, and get your butt to school. And make sure you take a good hot and cold shower to wake your butt up, because you don't want to be sitting up there half woke. You want to have, how she used to say, you want to be able to give Brother John or Mr. Franklin or Brother Kevin. I went to most of my education is Catholic school. So we had priests and nuns and monks, brothers, Christian brothers. As a matter of fact, I had the Irish Christian brothers. And sometimes it shows when I'm speaking on certain subjects or the words I might use. But that's what she would say, get woke, get moving. Okay. Woke, awake. I was awakened to the fact of so and so. Ah, hark, she awoke. I mean, you don't hear people nowadays too often saying hark. I grew up in the projects, and you have a cat walking around talking about hark, I awaken thee, or hark. Upon her wokeness, my eyes fell. Yeah, some bullshit like that. You're not gonna walk around my neighborhood saying shit, saying stuff like that. I'm sorry, okay? But you get the idea, right? It's just another way of saying awake, all right? Or you acknowledge something. What the hell is the big damn deal about the word woke? But see, this is the kind of crap that the Republicans, and they've been doing this for like the last 20 years or so, pulling this crap on the American people. And see, the average person is busy going to school, working, taking care of the kids, and a lot of people are doing all of this at just about the same damn time. And if you're not careful, the Republicans will have you into their mindset, and you're not even going to notice it unless people point it out. And that's what I'm trying to do here, okay? Now, the Republicans and Fox, this thing that's going on now, behind the case, the legal case, right, or with this computerized election company, they're suing the hell out of Fox, as you probably know. And usually, cases like this are real hard to win, because you're talking about First Amendment rights here. Remember, I think it was Jefferson who said that given the choice between having having newspapers, which for nowadays we can say media, right? So Jefferson basically said, if I have a choice between having the media and no government, or just having the government and no media, I would rather have the media without the government, because that's how much he valued um, the whole free speech thing. That's why it's very hard. Cases like what was it, Dominion? What Dominion is trying to do to Fox, cases like that are usually pretty damn hard to win, right? Because we get, like I said, we get into this whole free speech thing. And it's hard to sue somebody for them expressing their opinion unless it can be proven that, oh, well, you just want to sue because you don't like the person that said it, or because you are trying to stop people from, knowing what you know. See, and that's why it is so hard. But I think, when did that happen? Back in about 1734 or 35. I hope I get the names right. Peter Zenger was a printer, and somebody using his paper, or it might have been him himself, wrote something very funky about the governor, okay? And, the governor tries to have the guy, locked up and all this other good stuff, right? And what wound up happening, and if I'm not mistaken, that basically set the course for libel suits in the United States, even after we became an independent nation. That, what is that basic premise they said? Truth can be a protection for people who are accused of spreading libelous points, right? It's not, in other words, it's not libel if you're saying the truth, right? Well, that's what's going on now with the Dominion suit against Fox. And what do we find? Well, we find that the gang at Fox, they knew that Trump had lost the election. They knew it all along. But they said, we are going to keep lying to the public because the folks that watch us will continue to watch us, because we don't want to get them angry by telling them the truth. And I do believe that Dominion is going to win this one. And this guy Tucker, oh God, what a garbage mouth. But he agrees with me that Donald Trump is garbage. And that the whole, somehow the Democrats scammed the American public because the election was stolen. He admits behind closed door, he is saying, yeah, Trump is full of it. He lost the damn election. But I don't want to see our stock go down because we're afraid that that's what's going to happen if we just tell the truth. Now that's what, if you're in the news business, that's what you're supposed to do. And see, they caused harm to the Dominion Company, and they knew they were causing harm to that company because they wanted to keep lying, which they did. And see, this is one of the things I meant when I said at the beginning, what the hell is wrong with us? What has happened to America? See, this is when, talk about, be with Trump, be with DeSantis, make America great again. Well, somebody's going to ask me right now, March 11th, 2023, is America a great country? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say no. You cannot be a great country when you cannot tell your countrymen and countrywomen the truth. Think about that. I'll get back to you. Now, I hope that you take what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that you have to agree with me, but we have to agree on what a fact is. A fact is something that happens or did happen. And what makes it so bad is that Fox, they want people to doubt the evidence of their own eyes and the sounds that they have through their own ears. And folks, we cannot have a functioning democracy if we refuse. See, it's one thing to fight about having access to the facts. But when you have a situation, well, how's this sound? I hate Fox because they always tell the truth. How, you're not supposed, I mean, it just sounds so crazy, when you think about it. I'm going to stop buying or paying attention to Fox because they always, because they tell the truth. And I don't like the truth that they're telling. So instead of me saying, oh, okay, well, they have kind of a liberal tinge on how they report the news. Okay, that's one thing. But if somebody's sitting up there and they say, okay, 1 and 1 is not 2, it's 7, you have a problem, okay? You have a real big problem. And especially when this nonsense, it's like an infection. It goes on to the floors of Congress. And that's when it really starts getting dangerous. I'm going to take a short break, if you all just bear with me, and we'll finish this when I get back.
All right, you did your whole 58 minutes.
Oh.